Welcome to Inside Auto Podcast, where we feature everyone and anyone you'd want to talk to in and out of the automotive industry.
Ilana Shabtai here, host of Inside Auto Podcast, where we interview top dealers, GMs, marketers, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders in and out of the automotive industry. And before we introduce today's guest, this episode is sponsored by AutoLeadStar.com. AutoLeadStar is automotive's first and leading customer data and experience platform, CDXP. Top dealers invest in CDXPs to unify dealership data sources, automatically create one-to-one customized journeys, and execute omni-channel shopping experiences. It's an all-in-one connected platform. Today, we have Aaron Bickart with us. He's joining us today from Virginia. Hello.
Hello, Ilana. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. The weather's beautiful here in Virginia, and I'm looking forward to talking to you today. And I just want to say your live broadcast of the CDXP announcement of coming out to the public was a incredible live broadcast, and watched the whole thing, and it was pretty amazing what you guys are coming out with.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the support. We're really excited about it. We're going to get into customer journeys a little bit today, so we can talk about that. But I do want to give you a proper intro. You have been in the industry for quite some time. Aaron is a recognized senior leader, entrepreneur, and award-winning sales and marketing professional with over 30 years of success in the automotive industry, which we all know is a massive industry, so it's pretty impressive. Most recently, Aaron took over as Executive Vice President and General Manager of OfferLogix. And before that, he was at all different types of leaders. He was serving in different leadership roles at Team Velocity, Reynolds and Reynolds, building partnerships with major OEMs and major automotive players like Cox Automotive. So on this podcast, we like to talk about the history of automotive, the challenges of automotive, the predictions that we have. So you're the perfect person. So thank you again for joining us. Yeah. Before we talk about all the controversial stuff that we'll get into, how did you get into automotive? I like all of our guests. I want to know where you're from. I want to know how you fell into this industry. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I guess it kind of ran in the family a little bit. My father, my stepfather really, worked for Ford Motor Company. And believe it or not, he was a programmer and a developer and an entrepreneurial person. And in 1972, he sold his software package to Ford, which at that time was called GDX, which actually, if anyone remembers back in the old days, if anyone's watching this, the dealer locating system was ran on my father's software program. So it was actually pretty interesting. But so Ford Motor Company, and then long time coming, went to school, college, and I needed to get a job right out of college. And my buddy was selling cars. And he said, "Hey, Aaron, you don't want to get a job making 25, 30 grand a year, 35 grand a year back in 1993. He goes, why don't you come sell cars? You can make 60, 70, 80. It's the limit. So I started selling cars in 1993, 1994.
And what was the first dealership? Where'd you work?
Broadway Chrysler Jeep Dodge. Actually, the dealer principal, his name was Tom Avery. He was out of Newburgh, New York. It was a minority store. So I started selling Chrysler Jeep Dodge. Perfect. In Jenkintown, Pennsylvania.
Wow.
Yeah. So pretty interesting at that time. And actually, it was the cars coming in off the trucks weren't so good at that time. I actually still have some bad memories of the Plymouth Acclaim and the Chrysler Imperial and the Jeep Wrangler and the Plymouth Laser and all these different cars. So it was fun though.
It's great that you got to be on the retail side of it. And then did you stay in the retail side for a while, or did you go straight to technology, or what was that jump like?
Yeah. So I stayed. Actually, I got to put out a little coaching endorsement. There's a guy named Dominic Baralone who taught me how to sell cars. So I followed him around.
Find him. Maybe he'll come on the podcast.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know where he is anymore. We lost contact a long time ago, but I stayed in the auto industry for a little bit, and then, believe it or not, there was an electronics store. I got out of the car business just for a short term, and I went to go work for Circuit City, and they saw, I guess, me selling cars, and they wanted me to go sell electronics in the video department. Selling TVs, VHS recorders, 8mm, and and VCRs and so forth. And I started selling those. Did pretty well with that. And then I got back in the car business. It just wasn't for me working retail hours, like, 10 o'clock at night and all those type of things. But, car business, we worked retail hours, but it was a little bit different in Pennsylvania at that time. Car dealerships were closed on Sundays, which I think they still are closed on Sundays.
In Pennsylvania.
Yeah, so we did that, and then I stayed in the car business, and then from there in 1999, I went to go work for a company called Half a Car, which we did red carpet lease training for Ford Motor Company, and then we started a new division called Cybercar, which I morphed over to the Cybercar division. And at that time, Jack Nasser, the CEO, was the CEO of Ford, and he wanted to own the internet. So we started training car dealerships on how to sell cars over the internet. And at that time, think about it.
Well, yeah, this is a great. I want to hear more about this. You know why?
Yeah,
We usually talk about this on the podcast too, because it's
Yeah.
talk about things that dealers don't want to adopt. And I say, well, hey, we used to, they used to not want a website. So you were part of that transition. That's
it was a very minor part, but very minor. But so actually it was hilarious. We used to fly around to these car dealerships, and they had a website called Digital Retailing and a CRM solution called SalesPoint. And some of these dealerships didn't have computers. And we had to go to Circuit City. We had to go to the local, computer store. The only computer they had was in the parts department. We had to teach them how to buy.
You should have stayed in electronics. You would have been able to sell to all the dealers.
Actually, the Circuit City thing helped me. So it's actually, you don't know what you're into until afterwards. You don't know, right? So
that's cool.
Yeah, so we trained, and we did that for a few years. And I traveled all around the great nation of the United States doing it, and we. It was fun. And then they sold the company to Reynolds and Reynolds in 2002. So we did that, and then from 2002, I stayed at Reynolds and Reynolds until 2011.
Wow.
Yep. And then I worked my way up at Reynolds, and then went to Team Velocity in 2011.
Great.
Yep.
Okay, so you were really part of that whole transition from no computer to website to then like paid ad strategy, real digital marketing.
Actually, if you think about it, in 2000, Half a Car, Cybercar acquired a website company. We acquired a website company called Automark at that time. And we were actually one of the first website providers out there. It was us and Cobalt out there. And there might have been some other ones that I don't remember. Dealer.com wasn't even in the picture yet.
And mobile websites weren't even the picture. Like it was literally just get your inventory on a screen for people to see. Wow.
Yeah, man, we had inventory online. We had a whole CMS in the background, changed all the templates. So we were selling websites, everything back in 2000, 2001, 2002. Yep. I mean, we were probably, we had probably 50, 55 of the top 100 dealer groups at that time on our websites. Yeah, we were pretty large. And then there was Cobalt was the other large player at that time. Who got actually ended up being acquired by CDK.
Right.
Or ADP at the time, but now CDK. Right. So
right.
It was I was at the beginning stages of
that's really cool. I mean, do you see, is there like a similar pattern that you can see in dealers adopting technology as the years go on? Like, is it just a repeat where there's this resistance and then they adopt it and then it's like we can't live without it? Or do you think websites was just this was the first foot in, and now that there's a whole digital world, it's a bit different?
Well, yeah, I definitely see a progression here. Especially with one step process where the salesperson takes it from A to Z. I definitely see that becoming more clear and more dealerships doing it. I also see the digital retailing part of it too as well, becoming more progressive and more integrated into the process. And the last thing is personalization. I definitely see personalization becoming a lot more relevant today. A lot of dealerships are not doing personalization in their marketing. And I see personalization actually becoming the most relevant piece of the business moving forward. I mean, everyone wants to, you think about Amazon changed the world for us in personalization in the United States. I'm not really sure in Israel, but definitely in the United States, Amazon has definitely changed the world for all of us. And if you think about it, not only Amazon, but you go to your local bank You log on through the mobile app. Everything is, says Ilana, says Aaron, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then you go to anywhere, they know who you are. Everything becomes
Yeah.
completely personalized. So
Not
I
even
think,
that. Sometimes when I call like American Airlines, where I'll call and they say, we recognize your whatever your Sky Miles based on your number. Like that is what I want for everything I do.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you when I go to the Marriott hotel, because I'm a Marriott person, and I'm a platinum for life. And what happens is I walk in, I always joke around. I put in my profile, I want a pound of M&Ms, peanut M&Ms. I just joke around with them. And every time I walk into my room, there's a big bag of M&Ms in my room.
That is amazing.
Yeah,
that is amazing. What can dealers learn from the fact that you always get M&Ms in your room? That's a great trick. I'm going to do that too.
Yeah, you got to put some fun stuff in there. I always joke around with like little things to see if they actually.
I would be like, I want top liquor, top shelf, right when I walk in.
Whatever your choice of alcohol is, you put it right in. I want that bottle, right? Or a little mini bottle, or whatever it is, right?
Yeah, right. Like a little one, like from the mini bar. Yeah. That's great. So on this topic, just talking about the customer journey in automotive, what do you think right now dealers should be focusing on, and or in the next, let's say, 6 to 12 months, that needs to be fixed in the customer journey? Because we're not quite there, right? Like dealers aren't greeting people with M&Ms based on their preference right now. I mean, maybe M&Ms for everyone, but it's a one-to-many approach. Like, what do you think dealers should be doing for the customer to just perfect and hyper target when it comes to the customer journey?
Well, I think making everything needs to be 100% relevant to that individual. Number one. Number two, let me expand on the relevance of that particular consumer. I mean, everything needs to say Alana. Everything needs to say what they're currently driving. Everything needs to have their service information, all within maybe that email or that mail piece or wherever it is, that website landing page, whatever it is, whatever you can get done, because consumers want to see their whole picture. Then the next thing, I actually think that that we need to take it to the next step. Part of that landing page or wherever it goes, I actually think that they need to have what their payoff information is, their amortization tables, where the loan is being done at. I think everything needs to be encompassed within that personalization. So when we log on as a consumer, I can see everything in one spot. I don't need to go to, let's just say, Chase Financial or Toyota Financial or whatever it is, and I can see all the service information. So we need to kind of have like a My Garage, which people tried to build 3-4 years ago, but it was just before its time. But I think today's market, it is ready to go. And then service offerings. I think it needs to be more customized, the service offerings. Because think about this: you buy a car maybe every 3 to 5 years, maybe so every 7 years, depending if you finance it. But reality is, you get your car serviced every 5,000 to 10,000 miles.
Right.
You come in more often, but everything needs to be personalized. And most people do not realize that they have more equity in their vehicle, and they can trade out of their vehicle and upgrade to a brand new vehicle with little or no money out of pocket. So I think everything needs to be a complete 360 instead of a 180. And the last thing I want to say is dealerships need to make sure that they don't have their silos. Service department, sales department. They need to bring it together, and ultimately they'll make more customer. I call it the ultimate customer experience. That's what they need to have.
Yeah, I even think I know you said have all that information on the landing page and email, but even having all that information in the follow-up phone call. I mean, even though that's not necessarily the technology that the customer's interacting with, but the dealership needs to have the technology in place where they can see that all really easily, because the BDC,
exactly.
Someone in the BDC isn't going to be opening up a million tabs. So it's got to be all there, and they have to see, like you said, the 360, not the 180. You got to copyright that, because
the copyright and the ultimate customer experience. But if you think about it, what you just said, the dealership with the BDC or whatever they're doing, calling out, or the text message, everything needs to be completely personalized. So we need to be able to build templates for them that completely, let's just use or have mail merge is in there, and automatically fills in all the information. So it's just so that the person making the phone call can just read right down the line with the bullet points, as well as the text messages. And the other thing is, we got to make sure that we're doing text messages over emails. A lot of people are not reading emails anymore. or going into spam. So text messages is a large piece of the puzzle today as well.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And also, yeah, I mean, I just think that once dealerships can get a hold of that, and I think we're on the right track. There's definitely awareness. Now it's just about actually adopting the technology and making sure the processes are in place at dealerships. But once they do that, I think they'll be above and beyond, the bigger giants that are trying to take away dealerships like Carvana and Vroom. And we talked about this a little bit before the podcast, but talking about abolishing dealerships, let's talk a little bit about Jim Farley from the CEO of Ford, who had that little slip up. Apparently, we went 3 steps back. Now we want dealerships. But talk a little bit about what he said. I'd love, just as an automotive veteran, I'd love to know what you think about that future. Is that going to happen? Are we going to be just selling EVs straight, from websites or from manufacturer directly to customer? What is that going to? What do you think?
Yeah. So let me tell you. I haven't really thought about it completely.
Yeah.
It's gone through my brain. And I've gone from A to, let's just say, N, but I haven't gone all the way to Z yet. But I understand where he's coming from because of what's going on in Europe. Especially with Mercedes and Stellantis. So I know what he's trying to think, that we're going to try to get rid of the dealership world. But the franchise laws in the United States are really telling. It's hard to break. But
you think so?
Oh yeah.
I'm not super familiar, but I understand obviously the concept of it, and I was wondering, you think it's actually going to be too hard to break?
Well, I think for the combustion vehicles, yes, for sure.
Okay.
But Tesla actually, changed a lot of these things where they're able to deliver vehicles without dealerships. So, EV and all that type of stuff through Tesla, Lucid, maybe Polestar. I think Polestar's actually has dealerships now. Rivian, they're changing everything. And then Ford would actually build a separate division and separate, LLC and entity and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I think the franchise laws are just too compelling and too hard to break. And I think he's going to be fighting an uphill battle, especially with the being on the Hill and all the automotive people. I mean, if you think about the United States, if you got rid of franchises and you got rid of all that, how many people that employs? Right?
I was just talking about this.
Right.
It's insane. I mean, how many people it employs, the like just the basics of economy that it would hurt. And then of course also giving people the opportunity to be able to make money right out of college. It's a huge incentive. And all the veterans that work in automotive that were able to.
All of us, right? Yeah. So at the end of the day, I don't know if that's going to be possible. Now, anything is possible, but is it logical? That's what I would say. Like, is it possible, but is it logical? But the I don't think that's going to be able to get done. Not in Jim Farley, CEO's time.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not over
But you never know. Maybe in the next 10, 15 years, things might change. EV, selling electric vehicles, you might be a delivery center, and then selling combustion vehicles, you'd be a franchise. So maybe they'll have the best of both worlds, for everybody. But I don't know exactly where that's going to go yet. I think he's a little ahead of his time. But hey, remember beginning of this podcast, we talked about Jack Nasser with Cybercar, and we trained dealerships on how to sell cars on the internet. The internet know-how, we called it, the internet know-how. And I remember the saying pretty well, and you never know what could happen in the next 10 to 15 years. But I think electric vehicles are here to stay. But I think the other side of the piece of the puzzle, of course, gas prices are outrageous right now. But
like, don't you wish you had an EV right now? I don't know what you drive, but
actually, I do not wish I had an EV. Right
really?
Now. Yeah, no, I'm okay with driving combustion.
The gas prices are just insane. It's crazy.
But but the U.S. is used to low gas prices. But my wife's Canadian, and they've always paid 99 cents to $1.
Right. And by the way, same with Israel.
A liter, right?
Israel is it's not by gallon, but it's if I do the conversion, it's probably closer to.
Well, how much is it a
liter?
$7
or $8 a gallon.
How much is a liter right now there? $2 a liter?
I don't know because it's in our currency.
Okay.
But I would say it's similar to about $7 to $8 per gallon. Like if we were to.
We were just talking to relatives this weekend, and they're paying between $7.99 and $8.10 a gallon. Yeah. But but they're used to paying by liter. You know,
Right.
they were used to paying $4.50 a gallon.
Right.
So the United States, let's just say we've been spoiled, but we'll still be spoiled because that's just what happens in the United
Yeah,
States.
that's because that's just America.
Yeah, exactly.
This is why I want to move back to America.
Well, come on back. You have a welcome back.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe one day we'll get back there. So that's a nice take. I'm glad it's been in my mind, and I said, you know what, the next podcast episode, I'm going to get some insight from others that have been in the automotive industry a little bit longer, see what they think about this, because I can't imagine the US without, franchise dealer. It's like part of our identity. It really is.
Well, North America, Canada too, as well. I mean, I don't think the franchise laws in Canada are pretty.
Yeah, they're pretty tight as well. Yeah, so hopefully that will be to stay. And then before we sign off here, I do want you to tell us a little bit about OfferLogix, what you guys do, and what you're mainly focused on, what you are solving in the customer journey, how the technology is actually helping customers have a smoother journey. Just for our listeners, it's always good for them to see what's out there. It's important to know what technologies can make your dealership's customer experience better. That's all we care about. Make your customer experience better.
Sure. Well, first of all, we provide the ultimate customer experience. I actually stole that from BMW because they call it the ultimate driving machine. So I call it the ultimate customer experience. I think that's a good line, right? But we provide.
You gotta copyright. We have a few lines in this podcast now that you gotta copyright.
I got to trademark them and register them.
Yes.
But so we provide penny perfect payments. What does that mean exactly? In the customer journey that we were talking about earlier, personalization is key. So we provide a penny perfect payment for lease and finance. We have all the rates, residuals, all the subvented rates. We have everything that there is to produce a payment. And they're all 100% transactional, and they're completely dynamic. So at the end of the day, when someone's on one of your CDXP sites and are starting to look for your dynamic information, we can produce a payment rate back to them depending on their credit score. So if they don't have a good credit score, the payment adjusts depending on credit score.
And does that do a soft pull? Like when they put in the information, is it a hard pull?
Well, no. So I'm glad you brought that up. Actually, you just set me up for a line because we didn't talk about this ahead of time.
There we go.
So here we have a new solution coming out.
Okay.
So we have penny perfect payments today, and we're announcing next week. You
heard it here first, Inside Auto Podcast.
Exactly. You actually are hearing it 100%
Breaking news
right now.
Great.
So this is brand new. We are. This is something that we've been working on for a long time. We teamed up with Equifax, and Equifax and OfferLogix have now become. We're going to be reselling Equifax. We're going to call it credit perfect payments. So we're going to be the first in the industry that able to do soft credit pools with the consumer. They can do the 5-liner through your CDXP program, get the FICO score right into our platform, and we automatically append it versus you sending us the FICO scores or the Beacon scores back to us. We're the first in the industry to do it. And we announce it next week. Press release starts next week.
Okay.
Our stock price just went way up. Just so you know, our stock price just went way up. So we announced it next week. Yeah, and the good news is the way we're going to market. We don't sell. The other big piece of the puzzle that you should know is we don't sell to dealerships. We only sell B2B. So we only sell to partners like Auto Lead Star. And the big thing there is for you can now take our price because we're kind of wholesale, and you can now mark it up to your dealers. So versus getting a referral fee back. So we're going at the market completely different. I'm going to disrupt the market like we did with penny perfect payments and OfferLogix. And we're going to disrupt the market here. And the other product that you should know about too that we're going to be announcing, and we talked about EV, right? We don't have it built yet, but credit perfect payments is built. It will be out July 1st. The other piece is EV stuff. So we now have all the household and income levels for federal and tax credits integrated within our API. So everything is completely done. So as you know, there's tax credits in the United States for buying an electric vehicle. So we now have that fully, completely integrated into our platform. Again, going back to personalization.
Perfect payments.
Yeah.
Did I just predict the name for the?
What'd you call it?
EV perfect payment.
No, we call it OfferLogix.
Okay.
OfferLogix. But so we got credit perfect payments and OfferLogix, and OfferLogix will be out September 1st.
Right. Okay. Because that's kind of like a separate. That makes sense. Like offer. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we've been working.
I approve.
OfferLogix. So Yeah, and then our product for Credit Perfect Payment, that's the umbrella. It's really called OfferLogix.
Right. Right. That's cool.
I'm sorry, Qualify Logic. I'm looking at my name.
Oh, I
Qualify
see what
Logic.
you're saying. So it's called
Yeah.
Qualified Logics, but the tagline is Credit Perfect Payment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
the tagline. Yeah,
Okay.
the tagline.
Okay, that's great. Well, you guys have a lot going on.
Yeah, but you got the first one. We haven't told anyone about it.
Yes, because Inside Out Podcast is always covering breaking news.
Yeah, but you brought it up, so about the soft credit pulls, and I couldn't let it go. I couldn't let it.
Yeah, you couldn't let that one pass.
Yeah, because people are like, well, why don't you bring it up on the podcast? It was only a week earlier, right?
The truth is, we'll probably, air this next week, so we'll be right on time.
Yeah. So we have a press release coming out on the 22nd. I think it is 21st, 22nd.
Cool.
So if you bring
first, so that we could be, the first source.
So if you bring this out on the 21st, you have it.
That's
and then we have press release.
Dream.
Yeah, and all the emails are going to be going out, and all the social media, everything goes out. I think on Wednesday the 22nd.
All right. So, well, that is great. You guys have a lot going on. At the end of the day, what's great about OfferLogix and what you've been doing in the industry since websites were introduced to dealers is just always constantly being at the cutting edge and making sure customers can get the best deal the easiest way possible, which is what dealers should be focusing on.
That's exactly. And giving the dealerships everything at their fingertips so they can get it done in milliseconds.
Yeah.
Because as you know, 20 years ago, they didn't even know. We had to do fax machines, and put through the fax mail stuff. Everything
I feel like some dealers still probably use fax.
Yeah, but it's been fun. It's been a fun journey. So over 30 years, doing this. So it's been fun.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for joining us today and giving us a little bit of your background, your insight, your knowledge, your predictions. I appreciate it. I'm sure I'll see you at the next conference, or at least I hope I will. I'm hoping to go to Vegas in October. So.
Yeah, Digital Dealer October. Yeah, we will. Paul and myself will be there, and the rest of the team.
Wonderful. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you again. And for those listening, this is Inside Auto Podcast. You could catch us on InsideAutoPodcast.com or any of your mainstream podcast outlets, Spotify, Apple, you name it, Inside Auto Podcast. Thank you so much, Aaron.
Perfect. Thank you, Ilana. Thank you, Auto Lead Star. Thank you for everything.
Thanks for listening to Inside Auto Podcast. Check out our other episodes with top entrepreneurs and industry leaders.